Welcome to Hobby Clubhouse with a review of the SDCS Silhouette Booster 2. This is the second option parts pack for the SDCS line of model kits, and it was released on September 18, 2020 for a price of 660 yen. With the parts inside, you can turn an SDCS Zaku II into a Zaku I, which I'm really looking forward to. But I get why this wasn't made a full retail release. I mean, because the Zaku Is don't exactly fly off the shelves. You can also turn the Zeta Gundam into its Waverider form, and also give back some of its proper clear beam sabers, because the original kit just had a solid white one. Some new hands, 2 differently styled thighs for the CS frame, and 2 new hip joints round out the package. The Silhouette Booster 2 comes in the same small box as many option kits, measuring 19 by 15 by almost 5 centimeters. Some thought was clearly put into the front of the box to make sure we know which parts we get inside, but also letting us know what it adds to each of the 2 different kits. It reminds us that this is the white set, so everything inside will be in plain white, which is also to say they're probably going to make these in grey and green later on. There are only studio shots on one of the sides, and a messy soup of disclaimers all crammed into that tiny little space. Inside the box, we get all the pieces on 3 runners, and one of them being for the clear beam parts, so that's not a lot. Underneath all that, we get the instructions manual with the Zeta Gundam side printed in color, and the Zaku I side printed in plain black and white. There aren't any stickers inside, so that's all you get in the box. Taking everything off the runners and assembling them took about 15 minutes with all the necessary cleaning. So if that's all you'll be doing, it's a very quick process. Let's first take a look at the parts of the Zaku I. You get a fixed mono eye part, so you can assemble the head even without the Zaku II parts. Or, you can combine it with the vestigial Zaku II parts, so you get a complete head for display. It's an appreciated inclusion, so that not everything will become scrap. Retrofitting the Zaku was a very easy process since the SDCS kits are made to allow easy stripping down so you can use another frame whenever you like. You'll be done with this in several minutes. So right out of the box, the Zaku II isn't even close to presentable. It looks like an old car you've patched with mismatched doors and panels you bought from a junkyard. The shape is fine, but if all you have are a pair of cutters, they just won't cut it. A small detail of note is that the legs still have the Zaku II's energy pipes, which the Zaku I does not have. You won't see them much, but if you do remove them, it does require a bit of careful cutting and sanding. The spike shield is a nice inclusion, but you don't get the Zaku I's slightly different machine gun, nor its slimmer bazooka. But this isn't very satisfying to look at, is it? So let's get it painted up. The only major alterations I made to the kit are cutting off the energy pipes on the legs, removing the armor on the elbow, and then filling in 2 small slits left on the backpack. The shoulder armor gets a nice seam removal, and now we're ready for painting. I coated the pieces in gray surfacer that'll give the olive gray and the blue a nice desaturated look that the Zaku I's supposed to have. While I was at it, I painted the dummy mono eye part as well, and gave it a clear jewel sticker. The bottom of the head is painted gray, with the mono eye unit done in metallic black. The mono eye lens is backed with some silver foil stickers and then placed into its final home. I painted the blue parts first since the middle of the chest is much easier to mask than the rest of it. The olive green rounds up the painting, and then we get the completed SDCS Zaku I as you would have wanted out of the box. No doubt, many younger modelers who buy this will fantasize about the Zaku I in its proper colors, and it's a shame that the base kit itself just doesn't look right at all. But in a way, it's things like this that compelled me as a kid to dream about painting kits one day. But let's not sugarcoat this too much. This is only an acceptable purchase for more experienced modelers. As a toy, it'll frustrate and disappoint kids with the potential they see and how impossible it is to realize any of it. I'm very glad they made this, and that's why I got it, but if you're buying it, make sure you know what you're getting into. Moving on to Zeta Gundam's Waverider, we get a frame that's made out of 2 parts sitting on top of one another. The all-white coloring doesn't affect the Waverider too much, since the Zeta Gundam itself covers much of the color. But if you can get this in grey, it should look much better. You might think that making the Waverider is a simple process of pulling off the hands and legs and sticking them onto the frame, but it's a little bit more involved than that. You need to pull off the bottom of the feet and place them onto the frame, then take the shin armor pieces and fit them over the special parts on the frame. The arms do go directly onto the bottom, while the front of the chest armor fits into the front. The tail stabilizer plugs onto the top, and the skirt armors each have their own places on the frame. Lastly, the flying armor on the back plugs onto the bottom. And leaving the best for last, the shield fits into the front and matches the shape of the chest cleanly, completing the transformation into the Waverider. Unlike the Zaku I, the Waverider does look sensible right out of the box. The one major bit of missing color is the big panel at the top, which is supposed to be blue, but the white color looks unintrusive enough that you won't really notice it too much. Other than that, we have something that looks like a Waverider without you needing to squint your eyes and imagine too hard. The unit itself is solid and nothing falls off even with rough handling. Overall, just out of the box, the Zeta Gundam Waverider is the best reason to get this kit. The outline of it is beautiful, and you don't get the impression that this is an afterthought or something forced out of the Zeta Gundam. It makes you want to hold it and admire it from all sides and see it suspending in mid-flight. This is the mark of a well-styled model kit. Before we move on, here's a look at what you have left of the Zeta Gundam after the transformation. Parts of the frame, like the feet, need to be in the Waverider, so you don't get the whole SD frame freed up. Next, let's look at the two swing-out hip joints. If you have a keen eye, you'll notice that the one for the CS frame is actually not new, and we got this assembly previously with the ground-type Gundam. If you liked it there, then this is a less painful, though not entirely painless means to get more of these. The joint lets you swing the feet forward and over the skirt armor, and then also backwards a little bit for some extra posing room. The SD frame's hip joint is new, though the functionality is exactly the same, instead that it has two sockets instead of the ball connectors. It still goes forward and over the skirt, and then back a little bit, but these movements benefits the SD frame much more since the stock movement is much more restricted without it. With the upgraded hips, your mobile suit can now chill out on the floor in a sitting pose like this. And this. To round out the rest of what's in the box, we have two thigh pieces for the CS frame, which are functionally entirely the same, but these ones flare up on the front and the back. They cover up a bit more of the joint up top and should be useful if you want to use the grey part up top. Lastly, we have the closed fist and the tilted hands for holding melee weapons, and you might think, wait, we got these already in the Silhouette Booster 1, and you're right. This set gives us the mirrored half of each hand, the right closed fist and the left tilted hand. So with both sets, you have a complete pair for each style. With all that said, here's a Hobby Clubhouse 3-point verdict for the SDCS Silhouette Booster 2. First, the Zaku I is aimed at modelers. This is the kind of stuff that Gundam modelers love. Variations and permutations that are just outside the reach of a retail purchase. It needs a bit of work to be complete, but you do get something special that not everyone can have. Naked, out of the box, it looks like a reanimated corpse. Second, it's an update patch for the Zeta Gundam. It gives it back its Waverider form, along with some clear beam sabers. The finished Waverider is beautiful and holds together very well, so if you like the Waverider, this is a wonderful reason to get the kit. Lastly, Bandai wants you to buy more than one. The Silhouette Booster 1 has this amazing swivel elbow joint that made the SD frame stock one-piece elbow obsolete, and the hip joint added this time does the same thing with the hips. Both of them are good enough that you'd want multiples of them on all your SDCS kits. So what are we supposed to do, Bandai? Buy a bunch of these?
Bandai,
Stop trying to make
buying the same thing.
happen. It's not going to happen.
The Zaku I parts and the Waverider mount are one-and-done deals. We don't need 5 or 10 of them, but we do need more of these joints. Bandai wants us to brute force it and buy all of this if we want the small things. I like this set, but one set is enough for me. Thank you for watching, and please come back for more reviews and other things. And also don't forget to like and subscribe, and come hang out with us on Instagram and Twitter. And I will see you next time.